Hello, everybody. Welcome to our our webinar today, and why women's money can change the world. I'm here with Samuel Baumgartner, our impact investing expert, and also with Olga Miller, who's the founder of an incredible new platform called SmartPurse. She calls it a financial fitness tool that's similar to Fitbit, but it's for your money. So she'll tell you more about that later. Just a reminder that everyone is muted. So if you have a question, just type it in the chat function on the side, and we will either get to it at the end of the webinar or Samuel will drop you an email later. So a little bit about responsibility since we're hosting the webinar. We are pioneers of impact investing. We invest in 3 sectors: financial inclusion, such as microfinance or fintech, sustainable food and agriculture across the entire agricultural value chain, and also, of course, climate finance, from C&I solar, commercial and industrial solar, to green lending, to energy access, and much, much more. All right, over to you, Samuel and Olga, and enjoy the webinar, everyone. I'll be back for the Q&A.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Stacy, for the introduction. First, a very big welcome to you, Olga. It's a pleasure to have you. Great that you have been able to make some time in your busy schedule to join us and give us some insights on female investors. Also, a big welcome to all the attendees. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on the time zones you're in. Before we get started with asking Olga a couple of questions, I would like to ask the audience a question so we get to know you a bit better. Maybe Stacy can, thank you very much. We would just like to know whether you are a woman and a man or a man. I think it'll be interesting for also Olga to know who's participating. We kind of had the guess that it's going to be mainly women, but we're hoping there'll also be a couple of gentlemen attending. What's your take, Olga?
I don't know. I would guess probably more women than men, but fantastic. Look, I feel so delighted. Welcome to everybody. Two-thirds to, 73 to 27 is actually quite fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely. It's definitely also great to see that there's a couple of men around that are also interested in seeing how they can contribute to this topic. To start off, and given that we have the pleasure of having you here, Olga, you've been working in the financial industry for quite a long time. You've been involved in looking how to encourage women to make more investment decisions. Could you give us a bit of insights on what you've been looking at to activate the female purse and how to get women involved in making active financial decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent about 8 years of my career researching everything there is around women and money. And I think at the beginning in 2012, there was all this notion that this has to be approached with pink products, that women need more pink financial products in order to invest. And let me just shatter that conception from the start. Certainly all of my research has never shown that women would need more pink products. But because financial services and money as such, as a subject, has been, I would say, dominated, the gentlemen on the webinar, please don't take any offense, but has been dominated by men. One statistics that usually sticks very much is it's only 1976 where in Switzerland a woman was allowed to open her OLGA account or go to work without asking her husband. So that's even less than 40 years ago, right? So because money was male dominated, it has this connotation, and financial services somehow didn't speak very well to women. And didn't speak very well to women up to very recently. And now I see that there is a lot that drives kind of change, new services being implemented, new, I wouldn't say pink products, but new propositions being crafted. And obviously the democratization of fintech and all of the digital tools allow each and every one of us, man and woman, equally to invest also with very small portions of money. And because traditionally it is the women holding smaller portions of the money, this plays very much in our favor. And so I am very hopeful that sort of with this change and the democratization of financial services altogether, we can unleash the power of the female purse, which, Samuel, is quite significant because women today possess 40% or control 40% of global private wealth. but also control 8 out of 10 purchasing decisions. So having the power of the female purse, investing, hopefully responsibly, is an enormous societal opportunity, actually, and not just a women thing. And that to me would probably be the second thing to say here, why I am so pleased that we have 27% of gentlemen on
Yeah.
this webinar. Unleashing the power of the female purse for us is a societal opportunity. It is, especially as we are rebuilding after COVID, or as we will be rebuilding even more, I think something that is absolutely necessary for all of us. Every man might have a mother or has a mother. Some of the gentlemen might have daughters, right? And I think we just want to, or I would hope that we want to build or rebuild into a world that is more inclusive, that is more equal, and also grab the giant opportunity to build a world that is more sustainable, that the COVID crisis has given to us. So I couldn't feel more passionate about this subject, and thank you for having me here today.
No, pleasure. Wonderful. And I think using that as a baseline, we would like to ask you guys, the audience, and also who makes the investment decisions in your surrounding or in your household. Is that yourself? Do you make it for yourself or for your partner or do you let others to make decisions? And I think this touches exactly on what you were saying now, Olga, of this is also given that it has been unfortunately a male-dominated industry in the past, or still is, this is also our role to encourage our partners, like you said, our wives, our girlfriends, our mothers, to make these decisions and to support them while making these decisions and creating platforms to talk about this, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So we have some of the results in. So I'm quite pleased to see that we have quite a few of the attendants that make their own financial decisions. We actually even have a few who make decisions for themselves and their partner. And look at this, we have nobody that lets other people make decisions for themselves. So I think given that, we already have a platform of attendees that, yeah, I would say have taken the first step for this initiative to become involved. I think that yes, go ahead. Sorry.
This is actually quite striking. Sorry, I was just looking at the statistic, right? And this is the first time I see such a high participation of women and men, well, obviously, but women being the majority on this webinar here now from what we've seen before, taking their own financial decisions. I mean, UBS just recently, I think is about a week ago, published a study. It's called Oh New World 2020. It's kind of a follow-on to the study done in 2019. And it still shows that 6 out of 10 young women, when they get into a partnership, abdicate financial decisions to their husbands. So they put the guy in charge. And so I find this is, sorry, I'm cheering here for everybody in the audience really, really fiercely, because it is so nice to see that slowly and surely this picture starts to change. And it's the first time I've seen it on such a striking statistic. So thank you for doing the polls.
It's pretty awesome, no? I think, and following up on this, I would like to go into the question of education, or into the topic of education, which you are also very active and very passionate. And you told me actually yesterday that you just successfully finished the fundraising for your platform SmartPurse. Stacy mentioned it a bit at the beginning, or she mentioned the platform at the beginning. But I would like to hear from you what it encompasses and what you guys are actually offering, also from an educational perspective, and for enhancing this dialogue on making investment decisions.
Yeah, absolutely, with pleasure. So SmartPurse, basically, as Stacy mentioned, you have to imagine like a fitness app just applied on people's money. What we do is we take and help young people, women in particular, that have no idea where to start and how to invest. So that's probably no one in the audience here. And teach them in a very impartial and fun way all the basics they need to know: how to form a budget, how to do a financial plan, what are the basics concepts of investing, what is compound interest, and finally then what are the tools so people can actually invest their money, even with very small amounts. So that's what SmartPurse does, and we do it with the psychology of a fitness app and of an online platform. And what I'm particularly pleased about, to come to our fundraising story, obviously SmartPurse is a female-funded, female-led venture, and we serve predominantly the emerging female purse. And you hear always all these statistics about how the female founders have it so hard in fundraising and how they are being marginalized and how they get the smallest of all tickets, right? Now, we started our fundraising round ready to go. COVID hit, so we sat on it for 2 weeks and then we started to fundraise and we found the capital we need. Was it easy? No, it is never easy when you ask anyone for money, men and women included for that matter, right? But we managed to close this despite COVID, despite the current environment of uncertainty. And I just see it as a huge, huge sign of hope. That said, it also gave me a lot of hope and a lot of optimism to see how engaged Switzerland actually is. The whole startup community and the whole responsible investment community, providers like yourself represent, Sam. There is a whole passionate, I would say, tribe of people out there that are very much wanting to progress, wanting to make our country an innovative hub for all sorts of things and willing to support. So it has left me very hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, congratulations to the completion of the fundraising. That's amazing, and I think will definitely be a very interesting platform. You've touched on the topic that the seed money or the financiers of this platform are female. Do you see different type of female investors on how they're able to generate the impact? Could you maybe go into some detail on that, when also maybe comparing it when you were doing your fundraising journey?
Absolutely. So I think there is, and this is a very big generalization and probably not based on the most rocket science. It's really just from my experience exchanging with all of these women over the years. So again, everybody pardon me the general statement. But I see they are, I would say, the women that are not yet financially engaged. And I mean, not yet financially engaged doesn't even mean that they are not invested. It actually means these are the 6 out of 10 millennial women that the UBS study shows, okay? Delegate financial responsibility to their partners. Then they are what I call kind of the conscious savers. So women who have money in their own right, but somehow they have this intrinsic fear or belief that sitting on it on a saving account is really the best course of action. And they share these characteristics for that means also with all of the young people here in Switzerland. Migros Bank has found out that roughly 94% of Swiss young people, 18 to 25, have all their money on saving accounts and don't deploy it, which I did find quite striking. And the number one reason why they don't deploy it to investments is because they don't know what products and services would be available to them. So I call this type kind of the conscious saver. And obviously we all know that with an average 1.7% of inflation rate over the past 20 years in Switzerland, that money on the saving accounts might be worth as little as 50% 20 years from now, right? There are a lot of statistics around this out there. Then I think they are these conscious investors which start to take control of their own money. They start to invest, they gain confidence as they gain experience with investing. And very early on, women are very keen to have their money making a positive impact, to invest it in line with their values. 8 out of 10 women express this wish in research. And finally, there is kind of the fourth type, which I would call is the new angels. Women who have come into wealth, be it through inheritance, be it through self-made, however, and are really determined to pass this wealth forward as an angel investor, as a contributor to advancing technology, advancing startups. So there is a whole breed kind of forming of very active, very highly educated women that connect in angel investment circles and really try to shift the needles as passionate, risk-willing investors.
Very interesting. I would like to pick up your comment on the value-based, because I think we've now seen very clearly that tapping into the female purse is obviously a great benefit and a great upside for the investment universe as a whole because of the potential that it brings with it. When you talk about the value-based investing, would this also then be, and if you could go into some details, would this also then be something that could be a big driver for more sustainable investment, and how that would be the case?
Oh, absolutely. I think the intention is absolutely there. Every research I have read points to the fact that women want to invest for the better good of the planet while making a good return on their money, obviously. The growing and staggering rate of impact investors across the globe, right, is another proof to this. And since we all know that investing responsibly doesn't cause any downturn on your returns, I mean, that's proven in meta research studies already. I think it's only a matter of time until this will, become the new norm. I'm being very optimistic here. But the biggest challenge, I think, like with everything in financial services for people, is to know where to find the products and services. What does it mean to invest sustainably? How do I know what's inside my sustainable investment, and how do I find the right product for me? Because and here is me talking as a representative of financial services, so if there are any colleagues out there, don't blame me, but I think we've done such an enormously fantastic job to generate the amount of language, product descriptions, acronyms, makes it impossible for the end consumer to know what is what. In sustainable, responsible investing alone, right? You have something like 70 to 80 terms that describe almost the same thing or a tiny little bit. And I think the European Union is now taking some new steps to establish new standards. As I'm sure you probably will know, the principles for responsible investing are another great initiative to put more standardization across I would say the whole sustainable investment universe. And I believe it is absolutely necessary that we make it easy for everybody who wants to invest sustainably, that we make it accessible, that we make it super transparent, both from what is the investment doing as well as how much does it cost. Because if we do that, it's not about just helping the women. It basically is creating a customer and engagement experience that we all would want and wish to have. And I think this is where the new disruptors are pushing traditional financial services at a speed and scale that is very healthy and very helpful to get us there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I very much agree with this, and I think we still have a long way. We still have a long way to go, but we definitely see things that are going in the right direction. To kind of close things up, we've seen from the questions with the audience, we have a nice group of women here. We also have a group of gentlemen here. We have people that are highly or already engaged in making their own financial decisions. So they've, I would say, taken maybe the first 2 or 3 steps in the investment universe. What would your takeaway or what your recommendation for them to be, what they should do next to continue on this journey onwards?
Well, I think it probably would be 3 or 4 things. Number one is align your investments with your values if you haven't done it already. And that takes a little bit of soul searching because yes, you can generate impact with, I would say, the broader scheme of sustainable investment products ranging from ETFs to robo-advisors, but then also there might be causes and things that you want to support specifically. I am deeply passionate about female entrepreneurs all across the world. Sitting on the Cherry Bear Foundation for Women Entrepreneurship supports marginalized female entrepreneurs in developing countries. So for instance, I love investment products that help to provide capital to female entrepreneurs. And that's maybe one that, Sam, after this webinar, I know you guys have a great product here that is very interesting that allows you to do that. So what I mean as a recommendation is to pick out the causes you feel really passionate about as a person, as well as an investor, and where money can make a difference. My second recommendation would be to look at the obvious stuff. In Switzerland, all of us have a 3A, so-called 3A account on pensions. In the UK, it would be called an ISA, right? So this pension money that we save sits there for a very long time. And certainly if that is invested with the right intent in mind and sustainably, it grows both in terms of financial impact as well as in societal impact. And the UK has just launched a really cool initiative. It's called Make Your Pension Money Matter. And pensions, to create pensions people can feel proud of, because the biggest challenge is transparency. But here in Switzerland, we have free choice how this money is invested, so certainly would do that. Then if you are well taken care of with your investment and you've done these two things, I would very much wish for people to go bold and start supporting startups, start supporting entrepreneurs. Why? Not because it is just, you know, potentially a high upside, but also because it is a great area of personal development. And that can be socially conscious startups, that can be impact startups, that can be something in the tech. You never learn more about an industry for yourself than if you actually put your money into something that you believe in. So these would be kind of my three big recommendations. Align with your values as much as you can. Look at the obvious, because there might be some hidden opportunities. And the third one being, well, if you already are invested like the majority is here, go and reap out even more impact that you can directly influence.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think just to add, maybe from my side, create or continue creating platforms where you try to make other people also comfortable to talk about this. I think, you know, you with SmartPurse are doing this, creating this platform that that people can exchange and learn more and get really comfortable and also step out of their comfort zone. With that, I would like to wrap up our part and open the floor for questions and answers. I think we might have a few. Stacey, I'll pass that over to you then.
We have quite a few already, so let's go.
Wonderful.
All right. First question, is there any difference in terms of risk-taking between men and women?
Does the question goes to me?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there is this nice saying that women are not more risk averse, but they are more risk aware. And there is a difference in that regard, in the way how women choose the financial product, in the process they go through, the amount of information they are gathering, and obviously investing in investment products that are more risk diversified. So for instance, there was one study in Germany that showed that a group of women has outperformed male investors. And the reason was because they held more fund structures, more broadly diversified financial products. So it is a risk awareness, not a risk aversion. And in that regard, yes, women are, I would say, not more conscious, but more careful with their choices.
Perfect, thank you. Next question. How do you see the future considering the current pandemic and fight against discrimination, employability of women, and achieving equal pay that will allow them to invest later on?
So look, and this probably will take longer than 2 minutes to answer, so I apologize again to colleagues at responsibility for posting your webinar, but we didn't go into this, and I think the current pandemic is partially absolutely devastating for the state of women and equality overall, right? Number one, women took the lion's share formed the lion's share of the healthcare workers. They are impacted as teachers. They share the lion's share of the household work and the homeschooling that has happened. And we feel this far less here in Switzerland, but if you look at countries like the UK or the US, it is really severe. And women entered this crisis with a much lower financial resilience as well as a lower pension base. So yes, the Financial Times about 6 weeks ago called this recession, if it ever might come, a she-session, because it's basically catapulting equality into the opposite direction. That said, I think this picture doesn't have to be that pessimistic, because there is the opportunity. There is a lot of government aid that is coming. I think unprecedented levels of government aid. Unfortunately, what is not happening with the government aid at this point in time is that it is applied with a gender lens. And all of these factors combined with Black Lives Matters, which rightfully so points to the fact, I mean, statistics from the US show that women of color earn a fragment. It was 6 cents on the dollar than a white man does, that the Latina women earn far less, and that people with disability, in general, people with disability are marginally impacted or are really impacted with disadvantages in their finances. So I think what would need to happen to get ourselves into a state of opportunity with this situation is three things. Make sure that the fiscal money goes where it is needed most and not to those that scream the most. Put in place support mechanisms for these marginalized group in particular, that being women of color, people with disabilities, so that we use this opportunity to equalize rather than on a downside. And the third thing is obviously get to action with self-help, right? Women helping other women, women helping women of color, supporting each other is an enormously powerful thing. I know it sounds a little cheesy, right? But because there is this enormous purchasing power among the women community, if we stick together and support each other, we can help to advance faster. And I think that is very important to know.
Super, Olga. Thank you. All right, we've got more here. Next, as a woman, I usually make financial decisions for myself and my male partner. It seems to be a shift and increasing trend among millennials. Do you agree? This also seems to come with women taking an even larger share of the mental load. What's the trick to reach full and balanced women's empowerment? Thanks.
Okay, well, I think, yeah, we saw today that this is a trend, right? We also see in research that actually since many years there was this intent from women to take control of their own and potentially their partners. I think this hasn't been researched yet. Would be really interesting to research that. Financial health. And I guess the mental load with that is that in a couple situation, money always causes tension because it's undoubtedly linked to power, right? And when equalities start to shift, it can cause a lot of stress in relationships, especially if one partner is the majority earner. So as these stereotypes and these roles start to shift, I think what is very important is to have a very healthy dialogue amongst the partners or the couple about why that is, what the common goals are, who is contributing to what goal, and who is taking responsibility in executing on whatever action will get you to that goal. And with that, a lot of this friction can be avoided. Will more women like the lady who asked the question emerge? I hope so. Does it mean that now we need to reverse the planet and it's going to be 2024 and men have to ask for permission until they can open a bank account? I hope not. Okay, 1976 is over. It should be joint decisions if two people share a life that they want to live together. And I applaud every woman who has the courage to step forward and say, yes, I can do this. And not, I'm too stupid and he knows it better.
You made a really practical point about this yesterday when we spoke, Olga, about the different accounts. Can you talk about how you split the accounts with people before?
Yeah, so in a couple situation, there are two recommendations. If one is the majority earner in the couple, well, obviously a good practice is to split the account based on percentages of earnings and have one common household account. Each one has his or her retirement account, and then they keep whatever they earn. The other recommendation that was more kind of a common thing was to say, well, apply a 30% rule. That basically 10% goes towards common household expenditures, 10% goes towards retirement, and 10% somebody else keeps. But I personally think it's just important that you have rules so that there is not this unconscious unequilibrium, right? And one partner doesn't feel used versus the other, or also doesn't feel that is receiving too much or indebted by the other partner. That can cause money stress too.
Perfect, thank you. All right, now we have how can we engage young women from an early stage and educate them about sustainable investing?
We'll start with the young girls, age 5 or 6. Our money beliefs are formed at the age of 5 to 7. All the values that parents teach their children and have taught us are ingrained in our money understanding later in life, and it starts at age 5 to 7. So in order to teach the young girls, we need to start teaching our daughters and our sons, right? Both of them. So that would be probably recommendation number 1. Recommendation number 2, the power of money as an expression of values and as a tool for change, not just a figure on the bank account, should be taught in schools. It should be taught in universities. And to anyone on the webinar who is a parent, I highly recommend to use every financial moment there is to teach your children both about what to do and not to do and mistakes to avoid, and most importantly, the fact that money is an expression of your personal values. And that would be age 6, age 12, when a child receives its first debit card. It's here in Switzerland. And then most importantly, when the kids go to college. In Switzerland, we don't have college loans, but in the US, in the UK, people have, and those decisions can impact their financial lives for a lifetime, right?
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Olga. We're out of time. If anyone asks questions we didn't answer, we'll get back to you via email. Otherwise, have a lovely day, and we'll see you after the summer. We're taking a webinar pausa until the autumn. All right. And follow us on LinkedIn. When we do more, you'll find it there. Otherwise, have a good day. Thanks, Samuel. Thanks, Olga.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.